Cassandra, how did you find carnivore?
I think it was a long um, process. Starting back in the 90s, somebody introduced me to keto, and then I did that off and on for, I guess, decades by the time that I had started carnivore. And, just looking for keto stuff on YouTube, you eventually find somebody, a Dr. Barry or somebody who um, says keto is fine, if that works for you. But if it's not working for you, maybe you want to try this. And I found that I was just never able to stick with keto for a very long time. I just, after a few months, I would fall off of it and eventually realized that I had to avoid plants altogether to keep the cravings away, to keep the food noise down. I think it has a lot to do with your gut microbes. If you're feeding them stuff, the ones that you feed survive, and and they are very persistent about getting the kind of food they want. So, I mean, I was just figured I would give it a try to see what happened, and it was so easy for me. And I know that it's not for everybody, but it was easier than anything else that I had tried.
And were there particular things that you were hoping to address, as far as health issues, like maybe type 2 diabetes or anything like that?
Yes, yes, I have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes for probably excuse me, probably 12 years now. And so I knew that reducing carbs as much as possible was the only way to get that blood sugar down. And even they have me on all kind of medicine. I mean, I tried all different kind of stuff, and it didn't really help unless I was really low carb. I mean, was just taking all kind of stuff, and if I didn't eat low carb, my blood sugar would still be 300. So, I mean, I knew, even though even though I didn't do it all the time, I knew that's what the answer was.
And has since you've been carnivore, have you resolved that?
Yeah, I actually just had my yearly wellness visit with a doctor a few weeks ago, and my A1C, which I had the highest it's ever been measured, was 10, and a couple of weeks ago it was 5.1. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's a good testimonial for any of these so-called experts that say you can't reverse type 2 diabetes, right?
Surprise.
And, along with that, have you noticed other health improvements and things like weight loss and stuff like that?
Yes, I have. So from my highest weight was, and I wrote this down, was 432. That was the highest that I ever measured it, highest that I ever weighed, and I had to get that weighed at a doctor's office. So, and this morning it was 250, 253. So, all overall, I've lost 179 pounds, but just since starting carnivore 2 years ago, 127 pounds.
That's fantastic. I mean, that in itself, take out the type 2 diabetes and everything else, just the amount of weight loss, just so that you kind of, feeling more comfortable moving around the world must be
Right.
so much better.
Well, The interesting thing about that is I also have rheumatoid arthritis. Um, and before I started carnivore, I we had moved to a place where I have to walk my dog regularly, no fenced in backyard. We live in an apartment complex and have to walk her on a leash and pick up after her and all of that stuff. And whenever for about the first 3 months, I thought I was going to have to give her away or sell, find her a new home because it was so painful all the time and just miserable. But I think that that's one of the things that got me, being out in the sun 4 times a day at least, started making, I think that is what initiated my ability to go on carnivore and it being so easy for me. Just, that's so important. The sunshine and the fresh air and just being outside and moving around regularly. Um, because I had tried to do it a few times and like a lot of people are just like, no, it's too hard. I can't do it. But finally, I got to the point after beginning to take care of myself that I'm like, okay, I'm still plugging away at it. And then one day I tried it and it was like, oh yeah, this is a piece of cake, pretty much.
And have you had any feedback from friends and family over the last couple of years? Like, they must notice the change in you.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm still getting smaller now. So every time I see somebody and they're like, oh my God, you look so good. Like, well, I feel good. I always look good, but I feel good too now. So, um, yeah, I probably do look better. It's definitely very noticeable.
Yeah. Do you feel over the last 2 years, your your outlook on life or mental health or the way you think about things, has that improved?
Very much. And that was the most important thing to me. For a long, long time, I felt like I was just running out the clock. Every day was miserable. And now I'm excited to do stuff. Let's see, yesterday, I just got up and drove an hour and a half to the beach and hung out for a couple hours and then drove back, just doing things that I enjoy. Um, have an experience with my grown children, taking them to do things that uh, I would have liked to do before, but it was just like too much trouble. And I knew I'd be too tired. I knew I'd have trouble getting around. Um, but now I'm doing all that stuff and I love it.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that's more and more prevalent in society today as people put on excess weight or they're getting excessively unhealthy and things like that is you kind of get to the point where you're heading in the wrong direction. You know that things are
Hmm.
not gonna be good, like, even if you're not 100% conscious of this, you know you're heading in the wrong direction,
Right,
but it's like you just put yourself in a position where you kind of think, "Oh, well, whatever that little comfort is, whether it's watching that TV show or playing that computer
right,
game or surfing those websites, whatever it is, you're just like, This is it. I'm happy. It's okay. Yeah, whatever." And when you finally kind of turn the corner and you start getting healthier and you start losing weight, it's like all that kind of you you kind of think, "Who was that person?"
right,
Yeah.
right. I don't know how I was managing. Every day was just miserable. And I was aware of it. And I was just like, got to keep plugging along. I was trudging through every day pretty much.
Yeah. So you mentioned the rheumatoid arthritis. Has anything improved in that regard?
I have very minor flare-ups. Mine was mostly in my knees, and every once in a while, I'll wake up with my knees will be a little bit stiff. So I remember that I have it, but most of the time, I don't even notice it. Like right now, they're completely pain-free. Um, but whenever the weather changes or it gets really cold, uh, I will I'll just notice it, and it's not enough to stop me from doing anything. It's just like, "Oh, my knees are stiff today." And it goes away. It doesn't stick with me like it used to for hours. I would be barely able to move. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much resolved as well.
That's fantastic. Um, so how are you eating day to day at the moment?
I have been lately eating a lot less beef than I used to. Before the price of beef went up to $10 a pound or whatever, I would eat, ground beef and steaks most days. Sometimes I would eat chuck roast. Now I'm eating a lot of chicken and pork, and it seems to be working out fine.
And are you doing that as like a 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day?
Usually two.
Right. And no eggs?
Sometimes, maybe a couple of times a week, I'll have some eggs.
And, has anyone joined you doing this, or everyone's just happy for
No,
you to do your own thing?
it's just me. And I have housemates, and their food is everywhere all the time, chips and cookies and bread. Um, and I just don't have it. That was my trick. That would be my biggest tip to everybody. Just define yourself. I'm a carnivore. I don't eat that. That's what goes through my head anytime. Um, I wouldn't say I'm even tempted by things. I could say, I would have eaten that in the past, but I don't eat that. That's not mine.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, your housemates are leaving that kind of stuff around all over the place. You completely emotionally detached from those things now?
Right.
Like
Right, yeah, I don't want it. I don't crave it, or it just doesn't call to me.
and when you look at that, does it kind of I know when I see that kind of stuff, one of the things that comes to mind is, "I can't believe I used to eat that stuff."
What I think about is, "Oh my god, I know that." I mean, if I ate one piece of bread, I would have joint pain within a couple of hours. I would be feeling terrible and be almost like I was hungover the next day. So that's what goes through my mind. That stuff is going to make you feel awful. If you were eating stuff like that still, you would still feel terrible like you did 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's, you've kind of crossed over when all that stuff now kind of looks like a skull and crossbones.
Yeah, it is. It's poison for me. I never tell anybody else what to eat, but I know it is awful for me. I had a fun um, few weeks ago. I went to a birthday party for my little niece, and it was my nephew's daughter. And the last time I had seen him was at a Mother's Day, like a year or so before, and he cooked this chicken that had been soaked in teriyaki sauce, and I didn't eat any. I mean, I'm like, I didn't come here to eat. I came here to visit with everybody, so it's fine. And so whenever I went to the birthday party, he had some all beef sliders and something else that he wanted. Oh, venison jerky that he wanted me to try. So he remembered, He's like, "Oh, she's not gonna eat all of this cake and pretzels and all of this other stuff we have here." So he had those, and he's like, "You gotta try this," He was proud of himself. It was really sweet.
Oh, that's really nice.
Mhm.
So since the last time we spoke, has anything changed? I know you've kind of gone more chicken and pork now, but has anything else changed about the way you're doing carnivore or anything you've noticed about it?
Um, well, eating, the chicken and pork, I have been losing more weight, and I know it's because it's less fat. I'm one of those. I'm a postmenopausal woman, and I have plenty of fat on my body that that can be utilized if it's needed. And so I think that changing from a really high fat carnivore to more moderate. I mean, I wouldn't call it low fat by any means. I'm still getting plenty of fat, but it's made a difference in how fast I lose weight. Like I had maybe 4 or 5 months where I didn't lose anything at all. Some months I would lose maybe a pound, and let's see, since probably probably 20 or 25 pounds I've lost just within the last few months. By going to the lower fat stuff. And I don't recommend that for anybody, but people can experiment with and find out what works for them. So, and for a while I did, so I had surgery and I had to be on antibiotics. And, so I ate some fermented vegetables for a little while after that, like a teaspoon or two a day. And I found like it really helped. I didn't get the stomach upset that I would normally get. And I hate taking antibiotics just because it screws you up all the way, all from your mouth all the way down. It just kills everything. So, but also didn't want to be getting infected. After being in the hospital is the worst thing. The worst things you usually pick up are just stuff in the air at the hospital. So, um, I did do that for just a few weeks, and then I felt like I didn't need it anymore, so I stopped.
Right. Um, so you recently had that wellness check.
Mhm.
Have they given you any feedback on that? Like, hey, you're doing really good. So, 2 years ago, your A1C was, out of
Yeah.
control compared to now.
I tell them that I do keto just because I'm not having an argument with anybody. And I mean, it is keto. I'm not lying. I just don't tell them that I only eat plants. I was actually going to have I found out that I had acid reflux really bad. It was causing pain in my stomach and stuff. And I talked to a general surgeon who was going to do this gastric GERD surgery. I mean, they wrap your stomach around your esophagus, so to make the valve tighter. So he's like, "Well, the medicine seems to be doing okay. Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "I don't want to take medicine, especially not stuff that's disrupting my stomach." And so if we can do this and it will help, I want to do it. But I started researching what could be causing the reflux, um, because carnivores don't usually have that. And I found out it was probably a couple of the medications I was taking. So I stopped taking those and the symptoms completely went away. So I'm not doing that anymore. And it was, one of them was a blood pressure medicine. So I've been to the doctor 2 or 3 times since I stopped taking it, and my blood pressure's fine. I mean, it's a little teeny bit high, but they're always like, that's pretty good. So they probably think that I'm still taking that, but
Right.
but I'm just not.
Right. So at this stage, you're on no meds?
I take a couple of hormones,
Right. But yeah,
and that's
blood
it.
pressure meds,
No,
metformin, all this
nothing
kind of
for the
thing is all gone.
nothing else for the reflux. what else was I taking? I was taking stuff for migraines. And this was a funny story too, because Dr. Berry says, if you wake up in the morning with headaches, that's when you want to get checked out. So I went to see a neurologist, and they did an MRI on me, and there's nothing wrong with my brain. It's fine. But I was taking some migraine medicine to see if that would help. Um, and it did temporary, it did for a while, and then I sort of weaned off of it. And so I'm not having those headaches anymore either.
Nice. So I guess at this point, there's no going back?
Oh no, not, and I don't moderate, just abstain completely because I know, yo-yo dieted for 35 years probably. I know better. I know the only thing that's going to happen if I have one little taste of something is that, I'll be 6 months or a year and gained all of the weight back plus some. And it was like, nope. But it doesn't bother me. Right now, I'm not tempted or don't want to eat stuff that I know is going to make me feel bad.
So I guess, over the last 2 years, you're now in a state where you can eat and not have food noise going on in your head after that, not thinking about, "Oh, where's the next snack coming from? What's in the fridge now?" and all that kind of thing. So, I suppose it's made you more productive or more able to enjoy the day?
Yeah, it really has. I do things that I enjoy, like sometimes I do painting commissions. It has made me a lot more resilient at work. For a while, I was working like 50 hours a week, which I'm not used to at all. And I don't think I would have been able to do that before. And, um, and now stuff doesn't bother me or stress me out the way it used to. I mean, I would have been a basket case.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the things that I used to be really emotionally involved with, like I always think of the things that would happen at work, and there'd be you'd be on a project team or something, and you thought your idea was the best for doing this project, and someone else would have a different idea, and you'd be so emotionally attached to your idea, you're
Yeah.
fighting for it. And now it's like I'll take a step back and think, who cares? It's not like
Yep.
there's no awards for your idea getting chosen, It's who cares at
Right.
all about this?
Yeah. Exactly. I'm just there to get work done, and I do my very best. And I think that I'm, more able to mentally focus than I was before. And I think I'm a better employee because of it as well. And I enjoy the challenge. One of my personality traits is whenever I start a new project and it's really hard, I'm furious. I'm just enraged all the time, like table flipping, just so aggravated with everything. But I don't, nobody at work knows that. It's just, it's just all in my head. And that's just my creative process, as they say. And then I figure it out and it gets easy. But I think before, I might have had a meltdown over stuff that challenged me to that level. And now I'm just like, and whenever I figure it out, I feel like a hero, just to myself because I was able to do something that was really challenging at first. And yeah, I have way more tolerance to that kind of stress.
Yeah, it's amazing how many areas of your life are impacted by nutrition that we don't really think of, We just
Hmm.
in the before times, I think we kind of think about nutrition as it's a way to control your weight and give you energy, that's it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we're just starting to figure that out. Um, how what we eat affects every part of our lives, and like uh, kids, especially who were having emotional trouble, whatever that was. And they found that if they eat a cleaner diet, just getting off of a lot of processed foods and things like that, that they can cope with stuff so much better too.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so if someone came to you, Cassandra, and said, "Look, you're doing really well. I'm willing to give carnivore a try for like 90 days to see if it helps me." What advice or tips can you give me? Based on your experience, what would you tell them?
I would definitely tell them to identify who they are. You know, you're a carnivore. You don't eat that stuff. That's really what works for me a lot. Also, people ask, should you ease into it or should you go cold turkey? When I was ready to do it, I just went cold turkey. I struggled and tried, and that might be considered easing into it. Um, you know, and on one hand, but whenever I was mentally and physically ready to do it, I just cut out everything. I woke up one day and didn't have any more um, plants, basically.
Yeah, nice. Um, so Cassandra, if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you on YouTube? And do you have any other social media?
Yeah, I do have YouTube at my Apex Odyssey and Instagram at my Apex Odyssey too, and Gmail is my Apex Odyssey at gmail.com.
Fantastic. I'll link to all of those in the show notes. Cassandra,
Thanks.
thank you so much for coming back on and letting us know how things are going. I really appreciate your time.
I always love talking to you, Dave. Hope you have a good evening or whatever whatever time it is where you are.